Microsoft sees themselves as looking to build like the Microsoft Windows of healthcare, right? They're not going to necessarily build.
On February 24, 2009, in his first public address before Congress, President Obama took his administration's first steps on the road to promoting a new healthcare world, a world he envisions made more efficient and more effective because of electronic medical records. On April 3, 2009, dozens of experts from leading healthcare institutions and technology companies assembled in New York City to watch a war game unfold, the battle for healthcare information. Some of the brightest business students from Columbia, MIT, Kellogg, and Wharton represented leading players in this market: Allscripts, Kaiser Permanente, Microsoft, and McKesson. Their purpose? To stress test technology's future role in rewriting America's healthcare map. Tens and perhaps hundreds of billions of dollars are on the table for the company that can create and execute the right strategic solution. We welcome you to join us in a war game on the battle for healthcare information.
By going national, do we risk quality? Do we risk cost?
Wargame is a simulation. It's a way of taking the real world and compressing it into perhaps a couple of days. It's a way of stripping away the bare realities of a company and asking that company, what can you really do, what can't you do? Where are you going to head next? The war game, you're forced to say, well, if I can't go here, perhaps I can go there. If I can't lower my cost, perhaps I can add value. How will I add value? It's a bit of a chess match in real time.
McKesson's in an even better position for that, because they've got the hospital systems.
This wargaming strategy with the various universities and business schools really gives you excellent visibility on how these methods can help businesses strategically plan for the future.
Build a platform.
When companies do these exercises, they break out of their shells. These simulations force them out of their own minds. Say, I didn't think of that. Other managers are pressing against them with different ideas that they have to respond to because those responses are legitimate, economic, business responses that the other competitor may use anyway.
It was absolutely fantastic. I think it's something which I could really see as being a tool that I use in the future or recommend to any potential employer that I may end up with. I thought it was a great experience in distilling a lot of information in a very short space of time and to help the teams to understand how their competitors affect them and vice versa. For that reason, I think it's a very useful exercise.
It was wonderful to see all of the different perspectives that the various students brought to this topic of electronic medical records, and it was great to see that there are some emerging themes that are coming forward relative to how we address this opportunity in the United States.
We talk about market share. Are we going to try and reach out to new physicians and or hospitals?
The benefits to the corporation are thinking beyond the borders that they've sort of built for themselves. It forces them to jump over those fences and say, wow, there's a whole other field out there. It forces them to look at a different world, perhaps the way the competitor's looking at it.
Low cost being sort of what gives you more and more positional advantage.
At the end of the day, I think you have to think through what your own business's core assets are and your positional advantages, your core competencies, and then figure out how to leverage those. And then when we had the curveball thrown at us, again, we kind of went back to who are we? What's going to make the biggest difference for our firm going forward, and then leverage those things.
Connectivity. We've been in hospitals. This is why we bought.
These are the people who will be out running these companies, so it was very interesting for me to hear their perspective, hear how they analyze the problem. I'm a purchaser of all the services we discussed here today, and it was a very interesting perspective for me to hear articulated how the students perceive companies represented in the healthcare IT space.
How does your strategy address?
The business school students are used to competitions. I mean, if you're in business, you're generally a competitive kind of person, but they've generally not been involved in war games. War games are taking a lot of the theory they've learned throughout their business school career and apply it to a real-world situation. The topic we have today of electronic medical records and health technology is a broad, sweeping kind of a theme. We've tried to box it in today and try to give it some focus. And I think because we've given it some focus, we'll come out with some ideas that are very practical ideas. I've already heard from a lot of the observers that they're learning new things, and these are people that have been in the business for 20 or 30 years.